Hey everyone, Andrew back again and welcome to another video, and today I'm here with a horror update. Got some movies in and one bit of horror merchandise, so let's get started. Okay, so first up for the movies we have Goosebumps 2. I have not got around to watching this yet. I was pretty disappointed with the first Goosebumps movie and I've kind of been putting off watching this film and even adding it to my collection. But this was cheap. I think I picked it up for about $5, so I thought, you know what, about time I gave this movie a go. I was not a fan of Jack Black whatsoever in the first film, so I'm pleased to know that he is not in this movie for very much of it, which is a good thing in my opinion. But yeah, I've heard this one's alright, so I wanted to check it out. I was curious to see if I'd like it more than the first film, so we'll see. That's Goosebumps 2. Next up we have the Arrow Blu-ray of Children of the Corn, and I absolutely love the artwork. The artwork on this release I think is absolutely fantastic, especially the orangey red colour scheme. Really awesome cover. This is a classic movie. I've talked about this film and the franchise a little bit in numerous videos. This has always been one of my favourite films from the 80s. Kind of grew up on these movies during high school. Rented them out a ton, so already owned this movie a couple of times already, but I definitely wanted to pick up the Arrow video release. I've heard the transfer is really good, and I mostly wanted it for the special features, because the special features look really good. And this one also has the short film Disciples of the Corn, which I've seen before and quite liked it, and definitely wanted to pick this release up so I can own a physical copy, I guess, of Disciples of the Corn and watch it again. So not really much more to say about this one. I've heard it's a really good release and I love Arrow Video, so happy to finally add this one into the collection. Next up we have the Scream Factory Collector's Edition of My Bloody Valentine, and this was my most anticipated release for quite a while. Ever since Scream announced it, I knew that I just had to own it. A little bit disappointed that we didn't get a Harry Warden figurine released with this one, but it is what it is. I'm just glad that someone's reissued or re-released this movie, because the Lionsgate Blu-ray has been out of print for a while and now pretty much everyone can experience this movie in its uncut form, which is really the only way to watch this film. You guys already know it's my favourite 80s slasher film of all time. I absolutely love this movie to pieces, and I am very happy with this release. I'd heard nothing but amazing things about it before I even ordered it, and yeah, people aren't kidding. This, in my opinion, is definitely the definitive release of this movie. The transfer is fantastic. They've cleaned a lot of the cut edited footage up really nicely, so I cannot recommend this release enough, guys. If you don't already own this movie, or even if you do, I definitely recommend picking up the Scream Factory Blu-ray. I am really impressed with this release. Absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's the Scream Factory Collector's Edition of My Bloody Valentine. Next up we have Puppet Master, The Littlest, and this came out in 2018, and it took us a whole year in Australia to finally get a release. Thank you Monster Pictures for releasing this one. I ordered it off the Monster Pictures website. This is the limited edition with the slipcover. The slipcover's fantastic. It definitely suits the movie really well. If you've seen the film already, you will of course obviously know what I'm talking about, with the comic book theme running throughout the film as well. But yeah, killer artwork on the slip, and I really like the cover art on the standard Blu-ray too. And I love the quote, "World War III begins on your toy shelf." Absolutely neat little quote there on the cover. This movie absolutely blew me away. Now, I like the Puppet Master films. I watched them a lot during high school, rented them out with friends quite a bit, especially the first three films. And I've got to say, this is easily my favourite Puppet Master since the first 2 or 3 movies. Easily, absolutely blew me away. This really took me back to my teenage years, honestly. Wow, this was really, really awesome. The kills in this are phenomenal, definitely some of the best modern kills that I've ever seen. The kills were plenty. This one has an extremely high body count, amazing variety. Most of the kills look phenomenal, really, really bloody and really gory. The puppets look really, really good. They bought some of the original puppets back and they look really, really good. And I liked the addition of all the new puppets too, especially there was this one gyrocopter. That puppet was amazing and some really, really awesome kills with that. But yeah, phenomenal film. I absolutely loved it. So I definitely highly recommend Puppet Master The Littlest Reich if you haven't seen this one already. Next up we have Deep Rising, and I've heard a few people show this or mention it or talk about it in a few videos recently, and it definitely caught my attention. I'd never seen it before. In fact, I don't think I'd really heard of it before. So this one looks right up my alley. I love creature features, especially sort of sea and water-based creatures, so cannot wait to check this one out. This was pretty cheap on Amazon, so I thought I might as well pick it up, and yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to watching Deep Rising. Next up we have the Scream Factory Blu-ray of Pumpkinhead. Yep, I know it's missing the slipcover, but I'm not too concerned about that, to be completely honest. This release has been out for many, many years now, so I didn't expect it to come with the slip, but I'm just glad to finally upgrade this one to Blu-ray. I've owned the old Australian DVD for quite a few years now. The movie's awesome. It's one of my favourite creature features of all time. Amazing atmosphere, really fun characters, and the creature design is awesome. So glad to finally own this one on Blu-ray. That is Pumpkinhead. Next up we have The Furies, and this was probably one of my most anticipated movies that I've been wanting to watch for quite a while. Came out last year and we had to wait a couple of months after it got released on Shudder to have a physical release over here in Australia. It came out a couple of weeks ago. Unfortunately, this one didn't live up to the hype for me. It wasn't bad, it's still good, but it's definitely not as awesome as I was kind of hoping it would be. This kind of plays out like a horror version of the Hunger Games and Battle Royale, where there's a bunch of captured women known as beauties, and they're hunted down by various masked killers known as beasts. However, there is a little bit of a twist because each beauty is connected with a particular beast, and that beast is trying to essentially protect the particular beauty that they're connected to, and if one of the beauties dies, then the beast that's connected to them also dies. So I wasn't a big fan of that kind of gimmick. I felt the story wasn't really explained enough. It doesn't really go into too much detail as to really why this game was happening, and I really wanted a little bit more focus and insight on the killers, and you didn't really get that at all. So yeah, I don't know. It didn't really explain enough for me, and the ending was pretty unsatisfactory for me too. So it's definitely leading up to a sequel. So if we do get a sequel, I'm really hoping that they focus a little bit more on the storyline. I will say though, the location was phenomenal. It was sort of set in like a forest area and like an abandoned kind of mining kind of tourist area too, which was really, really cool. It was a great location. The cinematography was fantastic, and the gore to me kind of saved this movie, honestly. There's some absolutely brutal kills, and I mean brutal. There's one very, very early on in the film that really caught me off guard, and had me kind of squirming, which doesn't often happen when it comes to slasher style kills. But yeah, man, the kills in this are awesome. The gore is fantastic. So yeah, not bad, but it didn't quite live up to my expectations. But I do still recommend checking it out, especially if you are a fan of really brutal and gory death scenes. This one might be up your alley. So that is the Furies. And lastly, for the movies, I picked up I Know How Many Runs You Scored Last Summer. This was $5 on eBay. I'd actually never heard of this movie before, and Danny DJ Boy mentioned it in one of the streams. And because it's Australian and it's a slasher as well, I was kind of curious on it. I was expecting it to absolutely hate this one, but I've got to say I was actually pleasantly surprised. At the beginning it felt a bit silly, but once the kills started happening, this was pretty fun. This was a lot of fun, honestly. I don't really want to talk too much about it because I hopefully plan to review this one for a slashback review if it fits into one of the themes this year. So stay on the lookout for that. But if you're into sort of like a light-hearted kind of comedy slasher that's a little bit silly, I would recommend this one. The kills are really, really good. And as I said, it is a lot of fun. So that's I Know How Many Runs You Scored Last Summer. And stay tuned, hopefully, for a review, because I definitely want to review this for one of the slashback weeks. And last but not least, for this update, I picked up another piece of horror merchandise for my Chucky or Child's Play collection. And it's a Chucky 4 Costa set. Really, really cool. I'm not going to take them out of the packaging. I'm just going to leave it as is for display purposes. But this was pretty cool. It was $5 on eBay, just a random Child's Play search. I often do that for specific movies or just horror merchandise. I chuck that in on eBay, see what I find. And yeah, this popped up. I thought it was pretty cool. Never seen them before. And yeah, for $5 I think I picked up a bit of a bargain on these. So nice addition to the Chucky and Child's Play collection. Alright, so there you go guys, that has been my horror update. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. If you've seen any of these movies, definitely let me know what you think of them. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and thank you for watching.